Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And you can subscribe to the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network by going to Stitcher.com, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, TuneIn, or you can go to the Google Podcast app and subscribe to the podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Make comments if necessary, and you can subscribe and hear all the great content we have on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. That includes interviews like we had with Jared Hurd this past week. We also have, of course, our regular news and notes feature. We also have live Beltway boxing contests for you. All that right here on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, we have great jewelry. First purchase is 20% off. You also have great weight loss tips. You can diet. You don't have to diet. You eat real food along the way. You go to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. And don't forget, you can always find me on Twitter at Digital25. What we're going to talk about this week, we're going to talk about some updates to the September schedule, especially this weekend coming, the 7th and 8th of this month. And also, we have some changes there, some updates there, and great things going on coming up this weekend. And then we're going to also talk about an event actually not an event, but a regulation that came down this week involving a very controversial event that took place last May 20th. So we'll talk about that as well. Before we go any further, I'd like to congratulate my hometown women's basketball team, the Washington Mystics, who are going to the WNBA Finals for the very first time in their existence. We used to call them Mistakes growing up, but they're no longer the Mistakes. They are the Mystics, and they're going to play the Seattle Storm in the WNBA Finals coming up next week. So our best wishes to them. It's been a great year for Washington area sports, because we've had our world champions with Jared Hurd and Gary Russell Jr. from D.C., and of course we got to count Javante Davis as well from Baltimore, but also, of course, the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup championship. The Washington Valor won the Arena Football League championship, and of course they played the Baltimore Brigade. Both those teams owned by Ted Leonsis, so they both were in the finals, and the Valor won. And now the Mystics have an opportunity to win the WNBA championship. So good year for Beltway area sports this year. So congratulations once again to the Washington Mystics. Now let's take a look at what happened last week, and nothing happened last week because Upper Marlboro heavyweight Mike Silverback Balogun was scheduled to be in a bout against Beato Costa Jr. of San Paulo, Brazil, at the Seminole Casino in Coconut Creek, Florida. But that bout and that card was canceled. So Mike Balogun did not get a chance to compete this past week. So a tough break there. So we'll be back in action very soon. Now, as far as this week's concerned, what's happening in the area is all amateur bouts. So Friday, September 7th, the 6th annual Friday Night Fights Inside the Gates takes place at the Berry Farms Arena in Southeast D.C., the outdoor arena. And Berry Farms Outdoor Arena is where the Goodman League basketball summer league program is played. And that's located at 1230 Sumner Road. That's Sumner, Sumner Road in Southeast Washington, D.C. The event is free, open to the public, probably getting away around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So once again, that's the Friday Night Fights Inside the Gates at the Berry Farms Coliseum. Once again, that's 1230 Sumner Road in Southeast D.C. Then on Saturday, September 8th, it'll be the annual Dr. Arnold McKnight Memorial Amateur Boxing Invitational, Kickboxing, and MMA Exhibition event. Once again, that program honors the legacy of the longest tenured chair of the D.C. Boxing Wrestling Commission, Dr. Arnold W. McKnight. And that'll be an event that'll take place at noon at the Kenilworth Recreation Center. That's 1344th Street in Northeast D.C. So that's the 8th annual Dr. Arnold W. McKnight Memorial Amateur Boxing Invitational, Kickboxing, and MMA Exhibition event That'll be Saturday, September 8th, beginning at noon at the Kenilworth Recreation Center, once again, 1300 44th Street in Northeast D.C. Now, as far as pros concerned, a lot going on and some changes have been taking place this week, and some additions as well as some announcements we can make. Now, one of the announcements take place in the big bout of that day. That'll take place at the Forum in Inglewood, California. Bethesda, Maryland super flyweight Alexandru Spartan Marine will take on Bruno Escalante of Redwood City, California. And that'll be for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Super Flyweight Championship. That bout is scheduled for 10 rounds. Now, we said last week that the bout is part of that Superfly 3 card that's taking place that night, and it's scheduled to be shown on HBO's international feed. Well, you don't have to go there now, because you can go to www.360promotions.us. That's 360promotions.us. And if you go on the social media platforms of 360 Promotions over on Facebook and Twitter, you can see that entire Superfly 3 undercard headlined by the Marine Escalante bout. And the undercard is scheduled to get underway at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can see it live for free. It is for free on 360promotions.us and also on all 360 Promotions social media platforms. That's on Facebook and on Twitter. And once again, the undercard, headlined by Alexander Marine, who's undefeated, 16-0, 11 KOs. He'll challenge Bruno Escalante for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Super Flyweight title. Escalante's record is 17-3-1 with 7 KOs. And that bout will take place on that undercard. It'll be the headlining bout on the undercard, which is once again scheduled to get underway at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can see it on 360promotions.us. and in all 360 Promotions social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter. So best wish once again to the Spartan, Alexandru Marine. Now, also on that day, there's a card at the Showboat Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and we told you about Jamal Dyer being on that card. He's scheduled to take on Marcus Lugo of Vineland, New Jersey. That'll be about scheduled for 4 rounds. Dyer is 5-1, 3 KOs, while Lugo is 0-1. But another boxer from the Beltway, actually, will be on this card, and that is Travis Holy Toledo. Now, you may remember we saw Travis Toledo make his pro debut, and you heard that bout here on the Boxing on Beltway podcast network. And he made his pro debut on June 29th, scored a second-round TKO over Marvin Johnson. That was over at Martins West in Woodlawn, Maryland, on the Shabazz Brothers card. Toledo is originally from the Bronx, New York, but he's now moved to Baltimore, apparently. So he'll be fighting in Baltimore, and he'll be in a light heavyweight bout against Talik Taylor of Freeport, New York, at the Showboat Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, Taylor was also on that June 29th card, and he lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Sharif Rahman. Taylor's record is 3-11-1, 1 KO, and he has not fought since that June 29th card either. So both these guys fought in Woodlawn, Maryland, back on June 29th, and they meet each other now on this card at the Showboat Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Toledo, once again, 1-0, 1 KO, while Taylor is 3-11-1, 1 KO. That bout is scheduled for 4 rounds. Of course, also on September 8th at the Barclays Center, Brandon Bulldog Quarles will be in an 8-round contest against Marcus Willis of Fort Myers, Florida. Quarles is 19-4-1, 10 KOs. And he'll once again come off a 5th-round TKO over Fidel Monterosa at the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland, back on May 19th. Willis is 18-5-2, 5 KOs, last fought on June 9th, scored a 4th-round TKO over Curtis Waller in Key West, Florida. Also, Sherman Artis out of 7 Maryland, Sherman the Tank Artis. He'll be in a 4-round encounter against Clayton Laurent Jr. of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Laurent Jr., I found out, is actually the stepson of Julian the Hawk Jackson. I didn't know that. He's a stepbrother to both John and Julius Jackson. So he is a stepbrother to them, stepson to Julian Jackson. He'll be in a 4-round encounter. Once again, Artis last fought on November 18th, lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Igor Pavaco in Queens, New York. And Lawrence 1-0, 1 KO. He went to the Olympics in 2016, made his pro debut in August of 2017, scored a 2nd-round TKO over Wayman Carter in Charlotte Amalie, the Virgin Islands. He's 1-0, 1 KO. Now, one bout that will not be on this card, bout got moved this week, and that's the bout between David Day Grayton and of DC, the welterweight, against Terrell Williams of Los Angeles, California. That bout has now been moved to the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It'll be on Friday, September 14th, and is now a 10-round contest. Originally supposed to be an 8-round contest, but now be a 10-round contest on this card. Grayton last fought November 21st. He lost a 10-round unanimous decision to Miguel Cruz in St. Petersburg, Florida. Williams turned to action November 17th, scored a 6-round TKO over Rosenberg Gomez in Flint, Michigan. Of course, that was the first bout since his disqualification win over Pritchard Colon back in 2015, October 2015. So Grayton will now be on the card that also features Shingaskan Tazabai taking on Yasmani Perdoso of Miami, Florida. Tazabai 6-0, 2 KOs, Perdoso 2-4, 1 KO. And also Keyshawn Williams, who's still looking for an opponent for this card out of DC. He's another DC welterweight. And he's 2-0-1, 1 KO. So 3 DC welterweights on that card. That's on Friday, September 14th at the 2300 Arena. And that's a King's Promotions card as well. Also, I came to a decision this week, and I decided to... I was scheduled to be working the card at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia, down Saturday, September 22nd. After kind of going over that card and comparing it to the card at the AC Jordan Arena, the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland, also on Saturday, September 22nd, I'm going to the show in Bowie, and here's why. Now, I've been told by TAC Promotions that there's a number of Beltway boxers on this card. I don't know who they are. I just found out that Edgar the Tiger Torres has been injured. He will not be on this card. He's a young man out of Springfield, 8-0, 8-0-1, 4 KOs. Patrick Harris out of Hyattsville, Maryland. He's the main event, 13-0, 8 KOs. Scheduled to be on this card. He's supposed to be in a American Boxing Federation title bout. But they haven't told me who the other Beltway boxers are. Everybody else on the card is out of the area. All right, they're from out of the area. Compared to the AC Jordan Arena card, the Shabazz Brothers card, Alantez Fox, Travis Severe Reeves, Greg the Sharpshooter Outlaw, and I just heard Tierra Brown has been added to this card. This will be her first bout under the Bella Entertainment banner. So, given that situation, because this card has a lot of meaning to the area in the sense of press situation, not only for FightNews.com, but more importantly in this case for the Washington Informer, because it's right down their alley with a number of local boxers and a good story behind it, because a number of Bowie State University students will be involved in the promotion of this card. I decided to go ahead, and I was scheduled to be the announcer for the show, but a lot of things just preclude me from going out to Springfield where this card is taking place, and I need to be at this card. So I will be at the AC Jordan Arena in Bowie State University. Hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be able to do a live broadcast from that event on Saturday, September 22nd at the AC Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. So we'll look forward to that as well. So I'm going to try to get them. Hopefully next week we'll have an official announcement about that. Real quick, getting back to the upcoming events this week and next week. Of course, Thursday, September 13th at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Super middleweight, the heavy-hitting diva Franchon Cruz de Zern taking on Maricela La Diva Conejo, Los Angeles. That'll be for the vacant interim WBC Super Middleweight Championship, and the bout is scheduled to be televised by ESPN2. The Friday, September 14th amateur show at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. That's the Baltimore Boxing Jake Smith Promotions card. That's a card that is scheduled to be, actually not scheduled, it is going to be a tribute to the late Frank Gilbert, who passed away last year. He was a guy who was the head of Ring 101 and was very big as a trainer in the area as well for Lock Raven Gym. He will be honored possibly on that card. Once again, that's on Friday, September 14th at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Brian Bam Bam Handslager scheduled to be on that card, as well as female boxer Lisa Bodenberg. Hopefully next week we'll give you a full kind of a rundown on that card as well. So that's the events for this week, and a couple of next week. Also next week, Saturday, September 15th, the Nomis Youth Network having their card at the Thurgood Marshall Center Trust, 1816 12th Street in Northwest D.C. And this is a fundraiser slated to feature amateur boxers from D.C., Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, and North Carolina. So that's on Saturday, September 15th at the Thurgood Marshall Trust in D.C. Now, another story took place this week, and it's causing, I won't say it's causing major controversy, but a lot of people have taken sides for or against this decision. This decision took place by the Maryland State Athletic Commission. Now, if you remember back on May 20th of 2017, at the co-feature bout at the card at the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland, boxer Jose Uzcategui, he appeared to defeated Andre Durrell for the interim IBF Super Middleweight Championship. He was knocking Durrell silly during this bout. I mean, Durrell really had no chance. However, Uzcategui gave him a chance because he hit Durrell after the bell at the end of the 8th round. And the referee for that contest, the great Bill Clancy, he disqualified Uzcategui, and rightfully so, for the infraction. Now, after the bout, Durrell's cornerman and uncle, Leon Lawson, and I saw this coming as he walked across a ring. I said to myself, please don't let him do this. I really thought he was just going to come over there and just yell at Uzcategui in his corner and get upset. But he took it one step further and he sucker punched Uzcategui. And it was caught on camera. Everybody saw it. And also during that night, there were a lot of altercations in the crowd. A number of folks who are big fans of Andre Durrell were really just really beside themselves during the course of the night. Clarissa Shields was in the audience. She was upset. Of course, Andre's brother, Anthony Durrell, was out there, and he was upset. And there was some altercation during the crowd that actually filtered into the main event of that card, which was, of course, Gary Russell Jr. defending his title against Oscar Escandón. And it was really just a tough scene all the way around. Now, 3 days after that event, Maryland State Athletic Commission placed Lawson under indefinite suspension. However, just this past week, the Maryland Commission lifted Lawson's suspension. Okay, if you go on my blog, boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com, you can see what Patrick Pinella sent to Fight Facts about them lifting, the Maryland Commission lifting Lawson's suspension. Uzcategui's camp obviously not happy with the commission's decision. Here's their quote. I am shocked by this action taken by the Maryland State Athletic Commission and Executive Director Pat Pinella. This thug Lawson should never be allowed to work in boxing anywhere in the world, and especially in Maryland, where his violent actions took place. That's what advisor Sean Gibbons said on behalf of Team Uzcategui. Now, Gibbons later talked to Steve Kim of BoxingScene.com, and I'm not going to read all of what he said. You can read that on the blog. Once again, boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com. I want to read a couple of quotes from Sean Gibbons of Jose Uzcategui's camp. He says, quote, Jose feels like he was a victim, and now the wound's open again. Maryland is again victimizing him, and they did nothing properly with this guy. I'm just beside myself. I'm sick. Patrick Pinella, someone should punch him right in the mouth and then go do a year's worth of whatever they do to then come back off suspension. I wish I could punch Patrick Pinella right in the mouth because he's a moron. And the state of Maryland is the most embarrassing I ever seen, Sean Gibbons goes on to say. How can you let somebody, a licensed cornerman, physically assault a boxer, potentially end his career, and then basically take no punishment other than a year's suspension? We don't even know what he did to get off suspension. Finally said, never tried at least to say he was sorry to Uzcategui. Maryland is the biggest laughingstock show I've ever been to. My 30 years of boxing, I would advise everyone to stay away from Pat Pinella and Maryland. That's the quote from Sean Gibbons of Team Uzcategui. I disagree almost entirely about this, okay? I'm not thrilled that Maryland let Lawson suspension go. I'm not thrilled that they have lifted his suspension. I'm not thrilled by that, to be perfectly honest with you. for Gibbons to threaten Pinella is wrong. Definitely wrong. I think what Maryland needs to do is tell us why they lifted that suspension. Because as of right now, to my knowledge, both the World Boxing Council and the World Boxing Association, who also suspended Lawson for this, have not lifted their suspension. Now, if Pinella and the Maryland State Athletic Commission is following what the WBC and WBA did, if they did lift the suspension, we don't know about it, and Maryland is following suit, then I think Pinella's hands are tied, in all honesty. But if they're not, and they're doing this on their own, then they need to tell us why they're doing this. Okay? They need to tell us what Lawson did do to get him off suspension. Okay? Because what Lawson did was totally wrong. I mean, in every way possible. I mean, he's lucky. Right now, Lawson, in all honesty, is lucky he's not in jail. I don't think Uskadegi filed charges against Lawson. I may be wrong about that, but Lawson right now is lucky he's not in jail for what he did. And it's frustrating to me that this happened in the state of Maryland, because Maryland has done an outstanding job, and despite what Gibbons said, there's nowhere in the world Maryland is the biggest laughing stock of anything. I will say that. Maryland does an outstanding job. So Gibbons is totally wrong about that. He's basing this on one incident and one incident alone, which I don't know. After further review, at the time of the situation, I thought Maryland handled it well. What they've done post suspension, post incident, I don't think they've done as well. Now here's Pinella's response through a statement. Actually, Pinella has not made a comment, but the statement was sent through the commission's office. They say, quote, "The Maryland Athletic Commission is deeply committed to maintain the highest safety standards relative to the regulation of combative sports, both its licensees and the public at large. It is within this context that the commission sought to address Mr. Lawson's unruly conduct. Mr. Gibbons has confused the criminal court system with that of the commission." And that's true. That is very true. You know, this, again, Uskadegi should have pressed charges. If he didn't, they should have. And Lawson, quite frankly, should be in jail. Okay? Or should serve some jail time. And in doing so, the Maryland Athletic Commission says, has made inaccurate statements regarding Mr. Lewis' consent order, as well as unfairly and inaccurately blaming Executive Director Patrick Pinella for the commission's determination. The commission's consent order demonstrates Maryland's tough stance on unsportsmanlike conduct and criminal actions committed within our jurisdiction. We stand by our decision regarding Mr. Lawson and the process by which that decision was reached. Now, as before, Maryland supports the boxing industry through fair but assertive actions that protect our competitors, licensees, and fans, end quote. That is a quote from that statement from the Maryland State Athletic Commission's communications office. And again, if they're saying the process by which that decision was reached, they need to make public what the process was. That's my opinion. I think they need to make the process in which they went through this, make that public. Tell us why. Be transparent by this, on this. Tell us why that process took place. How that process took place, I should say. So that's where I stand by this. It was like I said, I understand why I understand that they did it. I'm not totally thrilled about the Maryland Commission doing it, but the Uskadegi camp was wrong because they did not press charges against Leon Lawson, and Lawson should be spending some time in jail if he hadn't prior to. Okay, maybe a year in jail, along those lines. So that's where it looks. We'll try to keep you, if there's anything more on this, we'll keep you posted on this as well. Well, that will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Don't forget, we have big events coming up in the next couple of weeks in the Beltway. Again, go support the card if you can at the ABC Sports Complex, Springfield, Virginia. Excuse me. I have a little cold. I'm not speaking all that well today. I'm sorry. But the ABC Sports Complex, Springfield, Virginia. Support that card if you can. definitely. Patrick Harris, great fighter, no question about that. We'll try to give you more details on that as best we can. And, of course, the card at the A.C. Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. That's on Saturday, September 22nd as well. Then on Saturday, September 29th, we'll be live from the Nation Sports card at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. That's on Saturday, September 29th. And one of the bouts that's scheduled for this card, and I'm a little hesitant on this one too. I have some feelings on this. I think this is way too early, but be that as it may, Jason Bell, who's one of the headliners, the light heavyweight out of District Heights, Maryland, he's 3-0, 1 KO. He's scheduled to take on Cenk Plana out of Hagerstown, Maryland, who's 1-0, 1 KO. Hasn't fought since he fought in early 2017, and 1-0, 1 KO. And I think this bout is way too early. This is one of those bouts, like I say, that if it goes to a demonstrative finish, somebody's career is going to be hurt. And it's going to be way too early for that to happen. And I'll talk more about this in the next couple of weeks, but I have a hard time with this bout. That's about that scheduled to take place for that card on the 29th September at Rosecroft Raceway. Again, unless there's something on the line, I'll say it's time and time again, I always say this, unless there is something on the line, I don't think there's any reason why two Beltway boxers should compete, especially this early in their careers. Because what happens is both guys usually suffer from it. B. David Scott, Alan Bulu Watts. I mean, unless it's something, like I said, I think in all honesty, it was a bad move for Demond Nicholson to take on Emmanuel Ali. I mean, that's another bad move. Unfortunately, in that particular case, both men kind of recovered from it because it was a draw. So it wasn't like either guy won. So that's a different situation. So if it ends up being a draw, then that's probably the best outcome that could come out of that situation. But, unless it's something big on the line, like a world title, a regional title, a state title, something like that, there's no reason for Jason Bell to take on Cenk Plana at this stage, especially at this stage, early career. I find that's going to be a dangerous fight for both men. So we'll see what happens. And that's on Saturday, September 29th. So we'll talk more about that in the next couple of weeks, give you full previews on all the cards that are coming up in the Beltway. That will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Reminder, the Beltway Boxing News and Notes podcast on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great jewelry, great weight loss tips. Going to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.